Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help us all get focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing the solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, TGIM-worthy podcast. Today is Monday, March 28th, 2022. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you today, Kristy? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yes, it's another Monday in the world. Our last Monday in March.
I know. Can you believe that April is around the corner?
Right around the corner. Mm-hmm.
Our two favorite topics in the intro of the Optimist Daily Update is weather and the passing of time. But I'm still kind of reeling, Kristy. Not reeling. I'm still kind of joyously spinning from our amazing interview on Friday with Sarah Cameron Sunda. That was such a cool conversation.
I really liked meeting with her and talking about time and the way it flows or stops.
Mm-hmm.
It's still percolating in my mind.
What I love about the conversations we get to have with these people who are out there in the world actually making a really big difference in solutions is that it reminds us all that we can be advocates for change, even though our lives are really busy and we have 110,000 things to do, and perhaps there's a lot of stress. When we talk to these people, they empower me, and I think probably our listeners, to tap into just the tiny things we can do every day to make a difference. And just awareness is such a gift. It's pretty cool to do this job. I'm excited for a Monday. I'm excited for the week ahead. I want to thank everybody who joined the Optimist Daily as an emissary in March. You guys are amazing. It makes a really big difference in our business. Business, I guess, is something we want to talk about today, right? You want to take your story first?
Sure. I guess mine is somewhat of a business story because it is about a really unique startup. But to me, it's more about moving towards a circular economy and bringing that kind of ethos into things like infrastructure construction and also carbon sinks. The headline reads, "This startup uses a plant-derived material to make roads carbon negative." Last week, we had an article about biochar, which is a material made from burning agricultural waste in a particular way. It can be used in many different things, like it could be added to asphalt to help absorb carbon, but also make the asphalt less carbon emitting and more carbon absorbing, along with lots of other things, which is why this story was compelling to me, thinking about our infrastructure in general. When you build a new road, repairing a road is also an issue that we have to think about. And it's not necessarily an environmentally friendly endeavor. Not only does it give you more pavement to drive on, but the whole process of putting down new asphalt or making asphalt can be a carbon intensive process. One of the main problems in creating asphalt is the bitumen, which goes into it, which is a fossil fuel derived binder that holds the asphalt together. It's what makes it stick. Well, there's a startup in Norway trying to solve this problem. They are working on recycling old roads using a plant-based binder instead of the bitumen in a process that could significantly shrink the carbon footprint of our roads. And it seems like it's a great material that has lots of other benefits as well. The company's solution involves a futuristic looking machine that grinds up the top layer of the damaged road. It's called Carbon Crusher. So it's kind of reusing the retired asphalt and then using something called lignin, which is a wood-based material that helps plants maintain their firm and woody structure. It's something that's in trees, it's in plants, it's already there, and it's a waste product of the paper industry. It uses this lignin to bind the crushed material together as opposed to bitumen. And because lignin is a byproduct of the paper industry, it's actually helping to improve this method's sustainability. So it's, again, finding a use for what would otherwise just be trashed. Because trees capture CO2 as they grow, including this material in the process actually is a way of sequestering the carbon instead of burning those trees or doing something that releases that carbon back into the atmosphere, it's actually binding it into a solid structure, kind of like absorbing it and putting it in. So it shrinks the carbon footprint of the road repair so much that the roads essentially become carbon negative. I don't know that much about this process. I'm curious to learn more about it, but I wonder if they're using something that is also a carbon absorption material, like the filtering that you get out of the biochar. Anyway, according to the co-founder, Håkan Brunell, we're making roads that are part of the solution to the climate crisis and not part of the problem. And he says it happens to be cheaper, more durable way of rehabilitating roads. So a little bit more about how it works. The proprietary equipment that the company uses crushes the asphalt into rocks and into a fine material which can be used, which also eliminates the need for new material and the associated carbon emissions that go into making new material, and also the production and the transportation. This came out of Norway, which makes sense because Norway is a country where they have really harsh winters, which take a pretty strong toll on the country's roads because the ground is repeatedly refreezing and then thawing, freezing and thawing, which basically grinds up the roads in the beginning. So every year they have to get rebuilt because the bitumen kind of gets stiff as it freezes and then cracks up when it thaws. Mm-hmm. By using Lingen, the roads actually become more flexible. That makes the roads more adaptable, easier to survive harsh weather, which helps them last longer. They're now partnering with others to scale up operations beyond Norway. So we'll see how they go.
This is such a cool company and such a cool idea. And I actually, when I had graduated from business school, but before I had my first job, I had to make ends meet by actually being a construction surveyor for parking lots that needed to be resurfaced. I spent a very, very, very cold winter in Southern California driving around and surveying hundreds of parking lots for this particular company. And so I learned a fair amount about raveling and the different ways that things break down. So I love this story, and I headed over to their press release. They're incubated out of Y Combinator, which is a startup incubation entity. The story in their press release reads, "We're three climate Vikings from Norway with big hearts bound together from earlier tech adventures." It goes on to say, "We want to reinvent the way we think about 44 million miles of roads covering our planets, directly emitting over 400 million tons of CO2 every year." You guys, go to these people's website. This is so fascinating. They have nailed a traditionally non-innovative industry, right? We don't think about our roads as a place for innovation. And these guys are awesome. And I think I have my new company crush. Weird background story. Summers had to pay rent by doing construction surveying for quite some time. And I was so grateful for that experience.
No, it's great.
And it was also really cold. It was before we even had like the ability to measure distance with the laser. You had to actually walk it with the little thing. I could start at sunrise and I could end at sunset. And I had to get as many parking lots done in a day as possible because I was paid per parking lot. It was a very stressful thing, but it was fascinating and I learned a tremendous amount. So I love these guys. I am super, super down with Carbon Crusher.
I'm glad you are crushing on Carbon Crusher like me. Yeah. One of the other comments made by Hans Arne Flato, who's one of the other co-founders, was that the ultimate aim is not to build more pavement and pave more roads, because that would incentivize even more car use. You think that if you add lanes to the highway, you're going to ease the traffic flows, but all it does is invite more people to drive on them. What their aim is rather to improve existing roads, which are all over this planet and could probably get some upgrades.
Okay, well, speaking of crushing stones, I have a stone crushing story too, but these are body stones. I win for my transition today.
I like it.
My headline reads, "New treatment non-surgically shatters kidney stones." Around 15% of people in this world will develop kidney stones at some point in their lives. I actually have had them. They are super, super duper not fun. In many circumstances, the small stones do pass without any intervention, and then some patients have more severe cases and have to undergo surgical intervention. That is not fun, right? Surgical intervention is miserable and stressful, and we don't like invasive processes if we can avoid them. For years, surgeons would use sound waves to break up kidney stones, utilizing a method called extracorporeal shockwave lithotripsy, or ESWL.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, we're just going to go with ESWL.
Yeah.
But now a new method called burst wave lithotripsy, BWL, also uses sound waves, but is an improvement upon the previous method because it can be administered using a handheld device with no sedation required. BWL uses short cyclical pulses of ultrasound energy, which break down the kidney stone into tiny fragments of 2 millimeters or even smaller. The study recruited 19 patients undergoing clinical ureteroscopy for kidney stones to test the novel treatment. It was administered to each patient to target 3 large stones, just 10 minutes per stone, resulting overall in breaking up 90% of the total stone volume. Ultimately, the researchers determined that the majority of the stone fragments left after BWL should pass naturally without any more medical intervention and possibly less pain. It also appeared to only cause mild and manageable peripheral tissue injury. So, passing kidney stones, anyone who has had one or knows someone who has had one knows just how miserable they are.
Very painful.
Quick shout out to the team of people who are supported by the NIH who are making this possible. There's a long list of the researchers and medical professionals, doctors, scientists, geneticists involved. Check out the story. If you know someone who has had kidney stones, this is definitely worth following. Kristy, what else do we have on today's Optimist Daily?
Well, there's an immune system chip reducing the need for animal testing, refueling on Mars, making biofuel from astronaut wastewater. Oh, I like it. 5 tips to get your teen the sleep they need. Quantum charging could cut EV charging times from hours to mere minutes. And 3 eco-friendly swaps to, quotes, green up this year's spring cleaning. That and so much more on theoptimistdaily.com. Thanks everybody for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing positive solution-based stories, ideas on how you can participate in the changing world, ensuring it is changed for the good. If you like this podcast, please rate us and help us get more listeners. Share our stories from theoptimistdaily.com. Support us however you can. One way is to become an emissary on theoptimistdaily.com, and for starting at just $5 a month, you can help support reader-funded independent journalism. Help keep us free to everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can. Summers, take us out.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with more solutions.